Okay guys, so today we're going to be comparing the Fujifilm 16 through 55 f2.8 red badge lens with the Fujifilm 18 through 55 f2.8 to 4 kit lens. Let's see how this turns out. So I've been using this 16 through 55 f2.8 for a little over a year now, and it's a great lens, but the size is a little ridiculous for me, especially being on a crop sensor. If you're a professional, I think this is the lens for you, but I'm not necessarily doing any pro shots. So I went out and got the 18 through 55 variable aperture lens. I think that based on what I found, that this lens is going to be plenty for me. And the size is great. I love to do travel photography and hiking and stuff like that. So you can kind of compare them and see that, you know, one is much bigger than the other. Also, this has optical image stabilization, which helps a lot. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these out and shoot like a brick wall at different apertures and just compare them. The 16 through 55 I'm pretty sure is going to be much better, but we're going to see how much better. On the 18 through 55, I'm going to be turning off the optical image stabilization. We all understand what that does, and that's not going to affect the quality in this sort of tripod-esque shootout. So I'm going to be turning that off, and I'll also do a couple shots where I kind of take some photos of like some flowers or something to see the color rendering on both of these. I have an idea that the 16 through 55 is going to be much better, but for the price, about $500 difference used. The kit lens, I think, is based on what I've been seeing, I think it's going to be pretty impressive, but we'll find out and see if it was worth getting rid of my 16 through 55.
Okay guys, so I went and took some photos of kind of this wood wall, and I took these photos inside. I was going to do outside, but the clouds were coming in and out and changing my exposure, and I kind of want to keep the settings the same for each lens. So I took a photo of this wall. We're going to do 18 mil, 23 mil, 35 and 55. I'll do a couple stops each, but I'm not going to go crazy. I am going to post all the photos below, and you can look at them if you feel like pixel peeping forever. All these photos were taken on a Fujifilm X-T2, and they were taken on a tripod. So, you know, this isn't a perfect scenario, but it's good enough for me to understand the differences in this lens. I took photos of this wall, and then I have another small set of photos of a flower to understand kind of just the detail and the colors and the depth of these things. These photos are all raw with the same white balance. So let's jump into it. Okay, so here on the left-hand side, we have the 16 millimeter, and on the right-hand side, we have the 18 millimeter. Both of these are at 18 millimeter and at f2.8. So we're going to do one-to-one comparisons and try to see the difference. So right in the middle, you can see already that the 16 millimeter is crisp, much more detailed than the 18 millimeter. As you walk away to the sides, you see the 18 is already falling off and the 16 is staying sharp. The 18 is really soft, and the 16 is getting pretty soft. So neither of these are great, pretty much all the way open. The center on the 16 is good, the 18 is so-so. Okay, so this is the same shot, 18 millimeter, but at 3.6 on both lenses. The left side we have the 16 again, on the right side we have the 18. So you could see again the same thing. The 16 is sharper than the 18 in the center, and it kind of goes all the way through. You'll see, and pay attention to these lines. These lines are a little tough to tell, but these lines are what's going to tell you the best. You can see that the 18 falls off a little faster than the 16. Oh, sorry about that. And then they both kind of just fall off and get real bleh. The 18 is actually holding up really well right here. You know, stop down 2 stops from fully open. Sorry if the video is a little choppy. I let the photos load before I go on to the next one. So we're at the same focal length, but now we're at 5.6. So let's get into the center of this image. Let's see if I can line this up properly. Where is this guy here? Okay. All right, so let's jump back into the center of the image. And I think that the 16 is still better than the 18. The 18 is wide open, but stop down, it gets a little sharper. Like, you definitely could see that it's comparable. It's not near as bad as it was before. Once you get into the corners, it's not near as bad as it was before either. And I think it's keeping up with the 16. Definitely have more noise, and these are taken with this. Oh, so the 18 is the 18 is at a faster exposure but higher ISO, so we can't compare necessarily on these. So if you go up to the top left, you can see that they're pretty much the same. I think safe to say. I think that, yeah, open and stop down, they're going to be pretty close. Okay, so again, 16 mil on the left, 18 mil on the right. Both of these are at the same ISO and shutter speed, and they're at 3.2. So this is wide open for the 18 and not wide open for the 16. So we're in the center of the image. You can see the 16 again is sharper. I would say it's much sharper. So let's kind of go into the corners. Yeah, the 16 is holding up. The 18 is gone. Yeah, the 18 doesn't do well with it wide open. So let's jump in. Let's change the aperture and see what we get. Okay, so you can see that the 18 millimeter is getting tighter now that it's stopped down. Just one stop. So instead of 3.2, we're at 3.6. Going into the corners, it's looking good there. The 16 is still sharper, but the 18 is not far behind. This is going to zoom. No, okay. So it's still looking decent going into these corners. Yeah, I would say it's not bad. The 16 is still sharper, but the 18 is coming behind it pretty strong. Okay, we're at 5.6. Now, one of them, I believe, is ISO. Oh, they're both ISO 400. There's all the same settings. So we're pretty much in the center. You can see that the 16 is still sharper than the 18, but you know, not too much sharper. I don't think it's too bad. I think that comparably, you're going to get the same photo. Let's look at over here. There's a little knot over here. I know. Yeah, I think it's pretty good. I think these compared to look the same. All right, let's go over to our 35 mil. Okay, so we're at 35 millimeters about we're going to put the 16 on the left and the 18 on the right. These are both at 3.6. So the 18 millimeter is wide open right now and the 16 millimeter is not. In the center, I think they're pretty good. The 16 is sharper, but the 18 is not far off. I think it's looking pretty good. Like, if you're looking at it at that much detail, then you know it's kind of tough to argue what matters in your photo at that point. If you go over to the edges, you can see that the 18 falls off a little bit, but it's still holding up wide open. I don't think it's doing bad at all. And then we'll go to the far edge, and yeah, I think both of them are pretty good. The 16 is obviously the winner on this one, but the 18 is not completely off its mark. Let me see if I can find this knot over here. Here's another one. Yeah, you can see much softer in the 18 than the 16. Okay, so at 5.6 in the center, I think that they're both about the same. It looks a little bit darker in the 16. These are the same settings, and I think that we're getting about the same image on both of these. So let's go up to the corners, see if it gets a little softer. No. I think we're getting about the same image on both of these, and they're pretty sharp. They're not bad for a zoom lens. Okay, so let's go to 55 and see how they look. Okay, so this is 55 millimeters at f4. Let me actually swap these here. Go back to the center. So 16 on the left, 18 on the right. I must have done something wrong because the 16 looks awful. So I'm going to do one stop. I don't know if this is normal on the 16, but zoomed in f4, so it's wide open on the 18 and not wide open on the 16, but it looks really bad, blurry throughout it. So maybe it moved a little bit during shooting this. The corners look cleaner than the center. It's really weird. So I'm going to go, I probably have like a stop lower, so I'm going to pull that up. Okay, so we're at 5.6. I think the 18 is sharper here. It's hard to tell. Maybe I've been looking at this wall too long, but the 18 looks good. The 16 is better here. It's not as soft as it goes to the side. See this knot. Yeah, the 16 is better here. But it's not that big of a difference right here. It's big difference on this corner. It's nasty there. Kind of falls out there. Let's come over to this corner. Yeah, you can just see it's kind of just bleh, right on that corner, but it's not too bad. It's pretty close. For $500 difference used, something like that, you're getting pretty close. Let's stop. I'm going to stop it down to 8 and see how they look. Okay, so this is stopped down to f8 on both of these. ISO is at 400, and these are at 1/15 of a second, so it's kind of tough to tell because if there's any shake or any issues, then you're really going to mess up the shot where you're trying to get detail like this. So let's just jump into the center of this image, and you can see that the 16 is sharper. The 18 is not bad, but the 16 is clearly sharper. And let's go up a little bit more. Let's go to this knot. 16 is still sharper. And the edges again, the 18 is bad. So it looks like there's a little bit more noise maybe in this 18, even though they're the same ISO. So I don't know what it's doing there. All right, let's jump over to the photos of the flowers. And there's like 2 photos, and I think that's a bigger difference than looking at this wall. Okay, so we have the same setup. We have the 18 on the right, 16 on the left. Both of these are shot wide open at what I tried to do was 18 millimeters. Now, flowers move when there's wind and stuff, so I try to get similar photos and, focal like points and stuff like that, but I wasn't perfect, so sorry if that upsets you. All right, so let's zoom into this and kind of compare them. The 16 kind of takes it away. Like if you just see the detail and the darks and the colors, I really just like the 16 more. You're just pulling more out of that image. And one weird thing that the 16 did was it really got this, which is kind of cool. So if you look, let's actually do like a 1:2. The background blur isn't a big difference. Definitely harsher in the 18, but it's not a huge difference, especially when you get over here. There is one thing I noticed though. There seems to be more noise down here. Looks like my lens was maybe dirty or something, but more noise in the 18. I don't know if that's just me or if that's actually how that is. But I did like that it got this leaf over here pretty crisp. I think it did a good job. Let's see if it's freezing up on me. Yeah, that's not too bad. I think that the 18 really held up well over here, but in the center, the 16 kind of took it away. So I'm going to actually just stop this down and compare it there. Sorry, I said I was going to stop it down, but I did these open. So now we're at f3.2, but at 23 mil, so you're like 35 millimeter equivalents. I think that I think I might have these switched because the 16 looks better over here. Yeah, let me swap these back. Let's see if I could get that. Okay, so yeah, the 16 is more crisp than the 18. Still has kind of better, like it's just, let's focus on a different spot, I guess, because you're getting this part here, you're getting this part underneath here. You're just getting certain things that you're definitely not getting with the 18 mil. Just seeing how clear the 16 is right there is a big difference. Again, the background blur isn't a big difference to me. I'm actually not even all the way zoomed in on this. So if I get up here, you could really tell the difference. And it could be my focusing, but you know, it looks like they're focused about the same spot. And it's f3.2, which cropped down like this. It's kind of like an f5 or something. So it's not even that, you know, it's not like my focus point's tiny, tiny. Again, more noise right here in the 18. Unless just that background is just a little bit harsher. And these are shot both at ISO 200. And again, I think that the outside greenery is great. But yeah, definitely up close, you're getting a lot more with this. Not that close with the 16. All right, so I'm going to jump over to another shot I have. I couldn't focus any closer here. So I shot the 35 mil and the 55 at a different flower. So let's jump over to that. Okay, so this is at 35 millimeters and 3.6. So all the way open for the 18 mil and not all the way open for the 16. One thing to note that the shutter speed's different. I think a sun came out during the 16, so the shutter speed's much quicker. So it might, you know, if something's moving, you might get a little bit of sharper image. But let's just look at it from back here. I like it's darker. We have a different photo here. It's definitely like more green with darker darks. It's a little bit more contrasty. These are raw files, so there shouldn't be huge differences. But let's just jump in straight into them and see how they compare. So the 16 mil takes it away again, which is kind of obvious. But I think the 18 looks good. It has different characteristics. I like the 16 mil characteristics. It's darker, and it has just more. The colors are a little bit more vibrant. It just handles that better. You know, if you tried, let's look and see this blur. I don't think that the blur is a big difference. I'm not gonna complain about that. Let's see up here. Yeah, the 18's blurrier here. It held up, but the 16 is very sharp. The 16 to 55 millimeter Fujifilm is just an amazing lens. I wish it was the same size as the 18 to 55 because I would have it more often. You know, but the 18 is still holding up. All right, so I have one more shot at 55, and we'll see how that looks. Okay, so now we're at 55 millimeter, which is like your 85 mil equivalent or something like that. These are shot again at different speeds, but all the way open for the 18 and at f4 for the 16. So again, the same kind of idea of the darker, it's just more vibrant here, more color contrast on the 16. So let's jump into the actual flower, yeah, the 16 looks better. So there's your difference. I really like the detail on this little blooming flower on the 16. I think it got that really nice, while the 18 is much softer. Again, the 16 is sharper, slightly on the edges. All right, so there you go. That's the difference of the 18 through 55 Fujifilm kit lens to their red badge 16 through 55 f2.8 constant aperture. I used the 16 through 55 for about a year, and I really liked the lens, but it's big. It's big, and these are mirrorless camera systems. I use a XT2 and an XE2, and the XE2 is small. If I put that 16 through 55 on it, that thing's like a tank. It's like an anchor. It just drops it straight down. I can't really use the 16 through 55 unless I'm doing something professionally. If you are doing professional photography, I think that, yes, it is worth it. But if you're not, I think just having your camera around and having the lens you like is the most important part. The 18 through 55 has image stabilization in it, which works pretty well. I didn't test it in this video, but if you've used any of the Fujifilm, any other lenses with image stabilization, it's about the same. They have pretty good iOS. So yeah, this is my comparison. I hope you guys liked it. And tell me what your thoughts are. If you think that the 16 through 55 is worth the difference, or if it matters for you. I really think that the 16 through 55 has amazing image quality, but if I don't have it with me, I'm not walking around town with the XE2 with a 16 through 55 on it. But I will walk around with my 18 through 55 on it. So that's really the difference for me. So thanks guys for watching, and I'll catch you later.